Hey, everybody. I'd love to welcome Christian on the podcast. Christian, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well today, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's Tuesday afternoon at the time of this recording, just getting into the swing of the week. Christian is with Copurpose. And Christian, I'd love to just start and have you explain a little bit about Copurpose and the vision behind it, your guys' values.
Sure. Yeah. Nice to meet everyone. And thank you again for the opportunity to be on the pod. So, yeah, we're here from Syracuse, New York, upstate New York area, about 4 or 5 hours from New York City. For all of those who are wondering where upstate New York is, home of the Syracuse Orange basketball team. Thankfully, it looks like we're going to have a good season. So, we're all pretty excited about that. Just finishing up the middle of fall here in upstate New York. It's looking great. For anyone who isn't familiar with fall foliage, you should check it out. It's great up here, especially around this time of the year. The question, yeah. So Copurpose Brand Strategy is a marketing firm that I've been thinking about, dreaming about really for the better part of the last 5, 6 years. I've got a master's degree in information management, so very familiar with technology. And from an early age, I was very tech savvy. I remember setting up a gateway computer in my parents' living room as a kid. This huge box and came with a print on it, and then the device itself was probably about my size. Just pulled it out, and my parents, they were in their 40s at the time, and my brother and sister didn't seem to have as much interest as I did as a young kid. So I set it all up and got it going, and had AOL and a bunch of different platforms up and running on that speed pretty quickly. And from then on, I always found myself interested in tech. So I've been in the marketing world for about 12, 13 years now. I've been in-house in agency, and then in-house and on the agency side. And I really enjoy the agency side, being able to consult on different brands. And then luckily enough, I had the opportunity to do some teaching at a college here in central New York called One College, a Jesuit institution. And I teach marketing 101, marketing 301, which is an entry level marketing class that everybody has to take. And so when I was dreaming up of what a marketing agency could and should be, I really thought of three different tenets. One, it should be built on purpose. Everything that we do, whether it's creating a strategy, picking out a logo, a color, it should all be done very purposefully. I don't think that marketing should ever be done in a vacuum without a broader team. I don't think it should ever be done based on someone's gut feel, although creatives might disagree with me on that. I think that it's really important to really delve into the why. Simon Sinek is a little overplayed in my book, but at the same token, there's a lot of good principles there.
Right.
And so I do think you should start with why are you doing what you're doing? The second core tenet of Copurpose is fundamentals. As I mentioned, I'm the marketing professor, which means that I think a lot about how it should be done. It's the best practice. We think about the marketing funnel. We think about marketing personas. We think about the buyer journey. We think a little bit about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, and we think about color theory. And we take all of those best practices and fundamentals, we bring them to the agency and apply them in the form of process that we use when we onboard our clients, when we take them through a branding exercise, when we think about marketing strategy. And all those fundamentals play a really key role. And then finally, technology. Today's flavor is artificial intelligence. Tomorrow's flavor might be something entirely different, completely unmanned agents that roam the web and do your bidding. Something like that. Who knows? The recent Tesla unveiling is pretty interesting to see what he's got going on over there. What was that?
He said that new robot that he's got that he just released. That's pretty crazy.
I'm pretty sure we'll probably all have one of those in our home someday. But yeah, so those three tenets really were what, over the course of my career, what I learned as being valuable to operating a business, especially a business in marketing. And I thought that a lot of agencies that I had worked with in-house were really good at something. They were really good at like SEO or really good at pay per click, but maybe they lacked in that purpose category. Or maybe some were really good at branding and being very good at creativity, coming up with the latest and greatest like video work, but they lacked that strategic and fundamental edge of what to do with the video and apply it. So bringing those three core tenets in-house, having a strong understanding of purpose and making our team actually go out and develop their purpose as they continue to work at Copurpose is an important tenet. Having technology that we utilize for our clients is really important. And we're also developing some of our own. and then really following those fundamentals. Those are really the key purposes and key parts of our agency so far.
That's awesome. First of all, I'm jealous that you're up in an area right now where you get fall. I'm in San Diego, so we don't really truly have a fall. Every day is summer, which is nice in its own way, but I do seeing the leaves change. And I think that's the big thing you see when you go on your website, these three tenets. And I guess I was curious just to dive into that a little bit. How do you balance those core tenets when you're working with clients, especially in a fast-paced marketing environment that these marketing environments today, they really focus on like quick wins over long-term strategy. So I'm just curious as to how you balance those principles.
It's a great question. And sometimes it's hard, right? Especially when budgets play a role. But we think about fundamentals. Let's say you're building a website, for instance. We all know the sort of fundamental practices. You start with a discovery, you work through to maybe a site map, and then you go to the wireframe step, and then the design, then dev, and mobile, and so on and so forth. And those are the standard steps. But some clients don't have the budget for that standard set of steps. So we're having this conversation internally the other day. There is what I call stop the bleeding. So there are times where a patient comes into the marketing world for us and we're said, okay, there's just too much wrong here that we don't have the time to go through all the steps that we know are best practice, but what can we do right now to stop the bleeding, move forward and get them set on the right track? But that being said, I think the best way to balance a lot of these things is through process. For us, some of our technology solutions, just by plugging them in, give us those quick wins you just talked about. We just turn something on and all of a sudden it's starting to work a little bit. And then we build purpose into the fundamentals and vice versa. We ask, instead of a pitch call, which most people do, here are the services. We do SEO, we do pay-per-click, we do website design, we do graphic design. Please use other services. We don't do that. We sit down with our clients in a consultative manner and we say, what are the challenges you're facing? Tell us the story of your business. And let's hear about what you're doing. And then through that conversation with them, we learn about what they're trying to do, and we're able to build a proposal based on that. But then we sit down and the proposal isn't any longer built on just this and that. We take a look at the bigger picture. Okay, you want more people to visit your ice cream parlor and you believe that you're a central part of the community. Let's figure out how we're going to achieve those things. Throw the tactics aside.
Yeah.
And then we run it through our internal procedures of how we do it. And then we try to bring purpose fundamentals and technology to the table where it fits. So that's a kind of still a general answer to your very specific question, but it's the best way I can describe it without actually having a real use case.
No, it's so interesting how you interweave these three concepts that I think everybody's heard of before, but you really interweave them. It seems like in every single part of your process, and they all play off of each other. And that's really cool. And it sounds like it drives great results. And you talked a little bit about providing some strategic direction there. And I think that's where your agency stands out a little bit too. You guys don't just do the marketing services, but you also have that strategic direction. I guess I'm just curious for my own edification, right? Do you have any examples that come off the top of your mind where this kind of holistic approach significantly changed the trajectory of one of your clients' businesses?
Yeah, we have a few instances. I'll mention one quickly that I think is a good fit. You're familiar with the co-working concept, right?
Yeah.
I think most people are nowadays. We have a really good co-working client here in Skaneateles, New York, that we've been working with for about 1.5 years now. And they had, when we started, a few products. They had this sort of flex co-work option, a dedicated desk, and then a few others. As we started selling some, we started fielding information from social media, from the advertisement campaign. So we were doing Facebook and target Instagram ads. And we were starting to realize what was resonating with people. And certain terminology, such as private offices, were really starting to resonate with people. So we learned that people were looking for more private spaces. Even though the co-working concept was okay with them, they were okay with being in a general co-work. They wanted to have more secluded, more private spaces. So we took that feedback that we were learning, both by the ad clicks and the messages and the questions that we were receiving. We brought that over to the founder and said, hey, we need to make our flexible co-working options even a little bit more private. So we came up with a couple of more options based on our our findings to make them more private, A, and B, to add a few more private office options that weren't necessarily fixtures like the others, but maybe they were more like cubicle walls and separated. And so in this way, we're actually iterating on the product and coming up with additional products to improve their offering. And then another way is that we are often testing pricing by using promotions. So when we see this, we're like, okay, notice that the entry level pricing, we were using $30, but it seems like most people resonate with 15. Let's change it to 15 permanently going forward. And let's see if we get more people in the door with that permanent pricing. So call it sort of the 4 Ps in the marketing practice, pricing being one of them, promotion being another. We're taking a look at those things and actually providing that insight back to the owner. And that's something that's a little bit different. I think a lot of times agencies don't feel like they have the power to influence the product. And in our instance, I think that not only do I feel empowered to do that, but I think that's our agency's approach.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that any business owner, whether it's clients or even agency owners themselves, I think there's this tendency you just get so lost in what you're doing and not be able to see the forest from the trees. And so having an agency just an outside perspective for that matter, that kind of acts like a consultancy when it comes to products, but also can back it up with their marketing skills and whatnot. I think that seems to be really valuable. And it seems to be that's like where the agency world is heading a little bit more now too. Just one agency does everything, whether that's by itself or with a lot of partners. And I know that off camera, we talked about a little bit, it seems like some of your clients that lack like in-house marketing leadership, and you were talking about stepping in as a virtual CMO or like a marketing director. And I was curious, how do you build like trust and establish your agency as like an integral part of a client's team when you're effectively filling such a critical leadership gap?
That's such a good question. And even given the question, it's a difficult answer. There isn't a simple answer to this. But a few things, right? Number one, having true expertise goes a long way. When you can walk into a conversation, hear what the challenges are. For instance, I have an IT client that I act as this virtual CMO or CMO role for, and they have to navigate what's called MDF funds, or funds that are shared from their hardware and software service providers with them to do marketing. And a lot of times they don't know what to do with those funds. And prior to us working with them, they were like, all right, let's send a direct mail piece out.
Yeah.
And in direct mail, don't get me wrong, is actually very useful. It just needs to be utilized as part of an overall marketing mix. It's a little bit more thoughtful. So we came in with our very first MDF. We were able to unlock additional MDF funds just by putting together a simple marketing plan saying, hey, we're going to do cybersecurity. We're going to talk about a core central cybersecurity solutions and set it up to be a consultative approach with your prospective clients. We pitched that to one of the hardware reseller or hardware manufacturers. They loved the plan. We got $10,000 in MDF funds. That was a quick win. Also, we showed our expertise by putting together that marketing plan, and we built trust quickly. One of the things that we also do to open up the lanes of communication is we set up a Slack instance for our clients. So we have a client channel for every client, which is where they're active. We put all of the main players that we might be working with over there in that channel. And then we put anybody on our side. It's the account manager, potentially a content person, and myself on that side. And then we're constantly communicating with them about updates, things that we're seeing, exciting things going on in the industry. And we encourage them to do the same. Hey, did you see a cool ad from one of your competitors or one of your manufacturer resellers? Did you see something that we should be aware of? Throw it in the Slack. We'd love to talk about it. And be super responsive, right? You can't underplay how valuable it is to have access to someone like me or to someone like you. So when someone texts you, it's the nature of the beast. You got to respond within a few minutes. Slack is the same way. So I'm always on. But those are some of the techniques. So the on-ramps, building trust by quick and early wins, and then being able to show your expertise and really be able to really show your feathers, you show your expertise inside of meetings, I think is important.
Wow. And And that's such a good point. I think especially as an agency owner or just an agency leader, you've got to be there. Clients just want that. They want that accessibility. If you have that sort of KPI within your agency to respond within a certain amount of time, it's going to make your relationships so much better. And I know a big part of Copurpose technology, and you guys seem like you're actively exploring artificial intelligence. And I really want to talk about this with you, especially after looking at your website. Can you share some unique ways you guys have integrated AI into your agency's operations? And I guess how that's impacted both your team's efficiency and client outcomes?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're doing so much. So it's like I said to you, I don't remember if it was before the call or early on in the call. Technology is a core tenet of our agency.
Right.
Artificial intelligence is today's flavor. It's looked like maybe 10 years ago, it was all about automation. That was the big thing, is how do we kick off new nurturing campaigns? And when someone views our website, we show a retargeting ad. That was really all the rage at that time. But now GPT, prompting, generative AI has really become such a mainstream thing that everybody is utilizing it. So we use artificial intelligence in just about everything that we do. I can't tell you there's an area that we don't, with the exception of the very best copywriting services that we have, which are always done by humans. And I'm not going to lie to you and say that every single thing that we do is done by humans, but a lot of what we do is started and begun by AI. And some of the newer AI tools allow us to even complete certain assignments inside of them. We use it in a number of areas, and I don't want to disclose our entire tech stack, but I'll disclose like one way that I think most agencies are using it today is we create a GPT, an individual GPT for each client. We take that GPT and we train it. From the moment that we meet the client, we do a discovery call. We take the transcription of that discovery call, as well as all of our discovery notes. We feed it to the GPT. We use that GPT to help us build the proposal based on the things that we learned in the discovery call. And then we take it, all the things that it suggests in the proposal, and we take that. It says that we should do this. Okay, great. And then we edit it a little bit. We take that and put that into our Copurpose GPT, which is trained on how to write proposals for Copurpose. And it knows it's got about 50 proposals that we've already done that we like and are polished. And it spits out one in the exact framework that we wanted it, using language that we use, using procedures that we use. And it's usually on brand and on tone. Now, there's things that I don't love about it, so I'll go through and edit it myself, and my team will help. We'll throw that into our presentation software, which is also an AI tool called Gamma. It's a great software. Run a lot of our business on it.
I do a lot of stuff on Gamma. Great app. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I don't always use the AI features, but I do often use it as a presentation tool, especially for adding or embedding different apps into it.
Yeah, really good for that.
So each client has a GPT. It's trained from the moment we meet that client, and it's updated monthly with whatever the latest information is. Sometimes we'll even go so far as to upload our Slack instance if there's enough information in there that makes sense. That channel will actually upload into GPT as well. But otherwise, we just train it with all the files that we create. That would be like social media. We never create social media posts for a client that doesn't have a trained GPT. So we'll create a few rounds of social media posts and get them approved by our clients first. And then we'll train the GPT. Same thing goes with blog posts, continue to train the GPT. Over time, it becomes very good at understanding the client and also becomes a great resource for my internal team. No longer are they coming to me and saying, hey, do you know where that brand guide is? No, they just ask the GPT, hey, what's the brand color, primary brand color for XYZ client? And it's okay, that's the hex color for you. So that's one way that we're using it today. We use it in a lot of other ways for developing site maps. And then we have a great tool in-house that we're using for building wireframes and really fast prototyping of apps and websites.
That's really cool. I haven't heard that before. I know I always hear these unique ways that people are using and this like creating an individualized GPT. It like pretty much sells the fact that you're going to get better as time goes on with the client because the GPT is going to get better and you guys are already skilled at what you do. So the more time goes on, the more you feed it, the better it gets. So that's really cool.
My favorite quote is from Scott Galloway's that AI won't take your job, but someone who understands AI will take your job. It's one of my very favorites. I use it all the time. I don't think that someone with just my GPT or any of my clients' GPTs would be extremely useful. I think that they'd have a good understanding of the client, maybe the client descriptions, some work that we've done. But without having an understanding of the marketing fundamentals behind it, it's really tough to leverage those to be super useful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. No, that's a really good quote. I've heard that before too. And it's totally right. But you're seeing like these prompt engineers go away too, because like getting to a point where people are, it's just going to be everyday work. People will start understanding AI a lot better. And the people who are really good at it are the ones that are going to shine.
We just built a platform in-house that will be a really great tool for small businesses to be able to leverage AI in a little bit more utility framework, launching chatbot types of softwares, but ones that have more utility than usuals.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's like following up on leads and that type of stuff that like something that small business owners just can't get to all the time because they're doing so many things. I think that's super useful. And
Yeah, I think
with the technology and the new strategies and AI playing such a big role in shaping the future of marketing, how do you see collaboration with other specialized agencies or external teams to help expand your capabilities or deliver even more value to your clients? Do you guys partner with agencies? What does that kind of look like?
yeah, we partner with agencies. A lot of times it's for creative work at this point. For us, I do believe that true creative is something that will not go away. People who are very good at videography, while there are some great new tools that are coming out, both from OpenAI and like Runway AI and a few others, there are platforms for video. I don't think it's ever going to be completely there. Maybe it will in 10 years or something like that, but really great videographers that can help you capture the context of a local marketing video, something like that. I do believe that really great graphic design has yet to be replicated, especially stuff that's on branded using AI. While we have graphic design expertise in house, when we need something that is next level, we often will partner with another agency. And then things that are extremely specialized that are maybe hard coded, let's call it like EDI or Amazon Marketplace, where it gets pretty complicated the more you get into the technical weeds, things like that. If we're working with a larger client, call it a large, big box store that has a pretty complex ordering system, we might need to go to get specialized help from another agency for that. But other than that, we're able to bring, I think that's one of the great things about AI is able to bring a lot of it in-house and learn some on the fly. Of course, we all do. We want to keep learning, but also one of the great things about starting an agency in the last 2 years is that we can do a lot more without as much overhead. Some of the agencies in my town, and I don't know about yours, have a social media entry level person, a social media manager, and then a social media director, and then social media whatever. And they've got all these layers. And I'm not saying that isn't a way to operate because it probably is, and especially if you've got a huge client roster, you might need lots of layers. But I think if you're an agency that's starting today, some of those layers might be replaced by really great tools and procedures that help a really great doer get more done.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. As we get more and more into the world of AI, it's going to be easier and easier for agencies to bring everything in house, which I think has its positives and its negatives, right? Because I think agencies are like this industry is so relationship based. We might lose a little bit of that, but maybe not. And maybe there's even more collaboration on the horizon. So Christian, this has been great. I feel like I've learned so much just about AI technology and I love learning about how you approach your work and your agency. If people want to find out more about you, if people want to work with you, where's the best place to go to do that?
Yeah, about me personally, I highly recommend checking out my LinkedIn, so Christian Cobb on LinkedIn. And if you want to learn more about my company, Copurpose, you can visit www.copurpose.com. But that's the best place to learn about it. And we're always publishing our projects and our current work on Instagram.
So cool. Thank you so much, Christian.
Yeah, thank you so much for the time. And it's been a pleasure having this conversation with you.
For sure.